Doing an Ashe review, gold 3. Apparently it's a close overtime win. I'm pretty tired today, but I'll do my best. Your opening spot's pretty much, it's default, honestly. It's just kind of scary when we'll just see if you peek and notice there's a sniper or anything, because you kind of want to still stay out of their sight and all that. Being pretty cautious overall, that's good, especially starting out. Your team is playing really aggressively, and Lucio gets punished for it immediately. I guess first off, quick thing, if you're throwing the dynamite, if you can actually, whenever you throw it and you scope, like, that action will actually put the dynamite right into your crosshairs if you want to shoot it while it's being thrown. If you're throwing it and it's on the ground, you just got to be better at taking the extra second to make sure you shoot it so you don't have to waste a bunch of time and ammo shooting that. You're getting pushed here. I would have taken the time just to shoot the turret itself, just because that's where like a bunch of her damage is going to come from. Okay, yeah, you knew about that. That's good. So the sequence was good, just like focusing on the Symmetra. Unless you're confident in your ability to get a 2-hit confirm, it's just going to be better to go for the supports that are keeping her up across anything else. You seem lost. So it's fine, especially if you don't know that if there's no sonic arrow or anything like that to, you know, look somewhere. Especially if you're like hearing an arrow, you have like a brief moment that you can peek and maybe get a shot off and everything. But just letting them push for free is kind of rough. I assume you're just waiting for your team and everything, but it's likely that they're gonna get a ton of push off on this. But otherwise, if you can coordinate with whenever your team goes, that's also fine. I mean, it's fine to just not want to get picked before your team comes back too, of course. But they're coming back now. This is fine. Just shooting the tank is not really what you want to be doing. Good shots. Good shots. You find the pick. That's what I mean by the 2-hit confirm. Like, if you're worried about that. Ashe is one of those characters that really requires you to have pretty good aim. And then, yeah, you got caught lacking there. So whenever you're peeking for a long time, especially against a sniper, you kind of want to be rotating to different spots every like 5-6 seconds, and then reloading whenever you're rotating. So like staying right here and shooting is fine for like 4 or 5 shots. But if you know that people are like noticing you, or like even if you don't notice that people are noticing you, you should rotate. That doesn't mean you have to rotate super wide or anything. But like if you just move like over here, it's a different spot, and then like from there you can either rotate back or rotate over here and play like right here, which is kind of close, or you could play right here. But this one's a little bit more open and susceptible to getting shot back at. Just gonna fast forward a little bit. So I like playing these stairs as well versus snipers because it just means that they don't have a very good shot spot on you. Good dynamite. You could have waited just a little bit to make sure you got the sim as well. Getting pushed by the sim. Yeah, that's pretty normal. I guess if you don't already know, the close range, like the close range DPS combo with Ashe is like 2 unscoped shots for every scope shot. That way you can get the maximum DPS off without like being trapped in your scoped shot animation where you're just like waiting for another bullet to be ready to shoot. The bob is a little rough. You definitely want to, if you're going to bob near point, you definitely want to make sure you bob onto point. Also, right now you're wasting a ton of your shots on the tank who's being healed. Again, bob was changed so that he'll target whoever you shoot at. So if you shot a support there, like 99% of the time they're going to die, especially with no shield to save them. It just turns into a big waste on that bob, honestly, especially because you want to use bob in the mid fight. He's not a super great opener because then they can just use all of their cooldowns to kill him. But if you can wait for a couple cooldowns to get used and then use Bob, he can be a great tool, especially if you fire him on point and stuff. You just seem really indecisive, if I'm being honest. Like, you're playing the game in, like, a slow motion way. You kind of have to, like, make a decision quickly and then start acting on it. And that way, like, you're not going to get... You're not going to lose, like, a ton of time or value while the enemy team also collects their thoughts and, like, figures out what they're going to do. Just making quick decisions and acting on them is often better than thinking what the best course of action is going to be. Like, obviously, don't be silly and, like, because obviously, like, the best course of action is running straight at the team or whatever. Like, that's the fastest way to get in there. But, you know, you just can't, you shouldn't take, like, a super long time to think, like, what's probably the best course of action. You're getting lost in the sauce right now, shooting at the Mercy while another DPS pushes straight into your face. You got to be careful about that. That's kind of the downside of a scoped character as well. That's kind of what I mean by playing in slow motion. Like, you get to the Mercy, and then you notice that something else is happening, and then you use your coach gun, and then you realize you need to reload. Like, as you get more comfortable in characters, you just have to kind of turn those things into fluid actions, because as you're thinking or, like, making choices and stuff, other people are also, like, playing as well. So, like, you're a goal for them while you're trying to, like, figure out what you're trying to do.
Don't take kindly to being knocked down.
Amp up this beat.
And I'm probably not going to review the entire thing, just because it'll be like a ton of nitpicky stuff. I just want to give you a better overall understanding, because it seems like a lot of it is like you're not very mechanically comfortable on Ashe and everything, and you're just like slow to figure out what you want to do and how to do it. Like right there, it took you a while to figure out that there was a Symmetra on you, and because of that, you have to back down and go figure a healing pack, and then the point gets capped and stuff like that. Just kind of be more aware of what's going on and, like, quicker to act, I guess, you know? Good kill. And then whenever you get kills like that, especially against a Mercy, you gotta guard those corpses. You gotta view you gotta view Mercy as like a necromancer. Your dynamite's good, your jukes are good, great kill. Unfortunate. You probably didn't need to drop down, per se, depending on whether... I didn't know if her TP was up or not either, but you could have just probably ran across the fan blades, just because she has a laser beam. But, I mean, I'm not really sure what I would have done in that situation either, to be honest. But at least you know that that's like the best high ground to take is either on the fan blades or that platform right there. They are all pretty good. That platform especially, just because there's not a way to push you from the back. I would be probably thinking about a Bob right now, but it looks like your team's probably going to win without it. See, this is kind of what I mean, like right there, that little sequence is what I mean by you're taking a long time to decide on what you're going to do. It's better to just pick something, like, by default it should be a support. Just, like, pick a support and try to kill them, but you also have to, like, be aware of who's looking at you while you do it. But, like, you had a lot of downtime where you were like, I want to shoot at the Hanzo, but then the Hanzo runs off and you're like, I don't know what to do now. Like here, you're like trying to get your footing and stuff and all that. So it looks like your team actually isn't winning the fight without the Bob. So I'd probably be looking for a Bob at some point, especially after like somebody's form's down. That's good. Again, you probably want to put it on to the point. It looks like it's contesting anyway, so that's good. But this is a good fight. You just you put a lot on that scope. Like it's okay to shoot unscoped, especially like mix and match. Because it can get pretty scary with characters that have like just straight DPS, like laser beams and stuff. But no complaint about that. Like, you're doing fine. You just seem uncomfortable on Ashe, if I'm being honest. Good confirm. So now I would be looking to back up and get a better view on everything, especially with them being on Monkey and you know, he knows where you are, but it doesn't look like he's actually too concerned about chasing you down. Again, right there, that's kind of what I mean by like taking a long time to decide on what you're doing. You really, really, really did not need to jump down there. Like, it's fine. Like, you do not need to be the one to touch the point. Like, if you win it by a meter or you win it by a mile, it doesn't make a difference. But you being on point is just, like, terrifying. Because, like, Ashe is not a close mid-range fighter. She's a mid-long. But I mean, she can function in close range, but it is not where she's comfortable at, you know? Because you have a ton of spread on your unscoped shots after a minute. After a couple shots, I should say. Yeah, I would be trying to get back on the high ground, but hey, it's really okay to just like, if you're not happy with especially on Junkertown, if you're not happy with your spot up here, it's okay to just like rotate over here. You would have had a pretty good view. Here you could have had a good view. Like the only thing that stops you is the fan blades and stuff. Here's not as good just because it's very wide open with no cover in the middle or anything. But especially over here, if you're playing further back or even on this ramp or anything, everything that you see, they barely can see your hitbox. Just stuff like that. So I am just going to watch a little bit of your attack phase. Just to see how you play the attack, because attack and defense very different, and I just like to know. Nothing really wrong with this. Running, just because, so I'm just going to make a note of this. You know, the snipers and like the DPS in general love playing up here and around this area in general. So running straight up the stairs is scary because they're going to see you before you ever have a chance to see them. One of the few things that you can do just beforehand is from these stairs and stuff, or even down here at the RV that's like the crash bus or whatever, you can get an idea of who's up here and how you need to play it differently. But just running straight up and then especially peeking wide like this, all these characters have a view of your entire hitbox, even if you can't see them. So you just have to be really careful about that, especially because on a map like this where it's like all snipers all the time, basically. Because whenever you're scoped in, it messes up your field of view, but it doesn't change what other people can see of you, you know? This is a good spot to get these kind of cheeky shots off too, so that's great. I'm glad you're doing this. I don't know if you needed to drop down immediately. You caught up. You probably could have waited a second or two just to see if anyone pushes and you could have view of them. Because it just puts you in danger, you know what I mean? Like, it puts you in a spot where you can be retaliated on by people who aren't mid-long range fighters. Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, I like working these stairs too as well. But like I was saying, like if you can rotate more often, that's just kind of the name of the game, especially against snipers. Like get some shots off, rotate. Get some shots off, rotate. You just don't want to stick in the same place too long, especially as a scoped character or sniper or anything. Because you just want to make it hard for them to process the information of where you are a bunch. That's very bold because you didn't know where a bunch of their team was. I mean, I like the effort, just like seeing if you can get a quick assassination off. It's just really scary and dangerous, you know? Right there, this is the only time I'm going to criticize aim or anything. Whenever you have a stationary target that you're aiming at, if you're not confident with your aim, just take the little extra second to like confirm it. Like getting that first headshot off makes such a difference. Like even if you don't kill them, you're gonna freak them out like really badly. They're like suddenly they're in crit and like they've just gotten shot and like they're gonna freak out and start using their cooldowns and stuff to save themselves. Even if you're not ready to take a second shot, you know what I mean? Like it's you gotta make sure you get like those opening shots, especially on someone who's like completely oblivious to your existence, you know? The dynamite right there is whatever, I'm not gonna say too much. This barrier will stop it from crossing over, just so you're aware. Yeah, like You seem really uncomfortable when team fights break out because you're just like really confused on what you're supposed to be doing right now, and you're just kind of putting yourself in crappy spots. Like right now, you're just on the stairs, completely wide open and stuff. If you're gonna be in the team fight, you might as well play on this porta potty so that the people to your right at least can't see you. Like that's where you know the Hanzo is. If you're playing like right over here, looking at them, at the very least, you're not gonna get one shot immediately by the Hanzo. But what I would be trying to do right now, I would not be trying to get right in the face of someone who's nano boosted. That's just me, first off. But I would have stayed up on the high ground at the very least and try to rotate over here so you have cover from this wall at the very least. Like, let's say even this is kind of risky, but you just kind of like, you're in a spot that you're trying to like make the best of. I would have at least come like over here at the very least and then figured out who I'm trying to put shots on. It's got to be the Ana or the Mercy just in case. And then as soon as I have Bob up and I know, because like look, right here, it looks like she's using her sleep dart, see? So you know that sleep dart's about to be down. You could use that momentum of sleep dart being down and no other CC available to just put Bob on cart. And it's everyone on their team right now, other than the Hanzo way at the back, is just wide open. You know what I mean? You just don't seem very comfortable with what your role is in this fight. Because now you're in a weird spot, and you just got Bob up, and I mean I would be looking to use it because like cooldowns have been used, blah blah blah. Like it would have been a good time to put it out there, but like yeah, your monkey dies. It's one of those things where it's like hesitating for a few seconds just gives the enemy team an opening that they don't really need. But having it for the next fight isn't the worst thing in the world. But your team did commit multiple ults for that fight, which is unfortunate. So let's just fast forward a bit just to see if it's more of the same. I'm not going to comment on the FAR or anything because you said you only played it for one life. This seems like you're trying to take a power position at the very least. You're trying to challenge the Hanzo. You don't really know where he is. Okay, big thing about what you just did with the rotate is you're trying to get away from the Ashe that you saw. But just because you can't see the Ashe anymore doesn't mean she forgot about you. So like you're playing right where she barely has to move in order to see you, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna try and get away from the Ashe, you might as well at least like come all the way down here so that she can't see you from the top of the stairs at the very minimum. At the best, you should try and be looking to rotate anywhere else where you may be able to see her, and she may not be able to see you, but like with the tank and everything being right here in the middle and you're obviously wanting to shoot them, I would at least come this far so that the Ashe can't see you from the top of the stairs, you know? Because like you're being shot at and you don't seem to be completely aware of it at all. not to not to like be mean by any means. So yeah, you would have had a lot more breathing room if you had just been a little bit further back. So I'm just going to call it there. It just seems more like you seem unaware of what the good spots to position are. You're a little slow on your like making decisions. You just got to get more comfortable with like what your role is in a fight is and what is good to be doing. Cuz like it's okay to take a second to readjust if you're under a stressful circumstance, but you can't take multiple seconds whenever you're like not under a ton of stress to make choices because it gives the enemy team openings that they normally wouldn't have where they're like just completely not under pressure able to readjust and everything. You just want to keep your the pressure on whenever you can, and especially whenever you're not in a situation where you are fighting for your life, you know what I mean? So just get faster about making decisions and then take better positioning, and you won't have to be put in these spots where you're like under pressure or like not knowing where you need to go or like freaking out about the tank being in your face. Because if you just have good positioning, you don't have to worry about the tank being in your face because they're gonna have to make a ton of effort to get to you, and you're gonna be aware of it. You know, just stuff like that. I think you get the general idea of how to play Ashe. It's just more of those things that I mentioned. And then whenever you get more comfortable with that, we can revisit things, okay?